Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. Welcome to the next episode of Review Recall. This will cover a bunch of the albums from July and also an extra bit of stragglers from June that I missed. Surprisingly enough, I think this is the first month in quite a while where there weren't any going into the next month. I'm pretty sure I covered quite a lot here that I actually wanted to. So hopefully that continues for the next few months, but let's not waste any more time. Let's dive in. Okay, so I expected this to just be another one of those YouTube rap projects with the rapid-fire flows and nonsensical braggadocious lyrics, but my god, this one hit hard. A very heartfelt content, emotional performances, plus a true sense of humanity as Mac paints these melancholic pictures of struggling with mental health, overcoming internal family struggles such as divorce and losing so many of his closest peers, even his own mother. It's a beautifully somber listen. Check this out. Now, this was probably the most anticipated album for me this month, and I cannot say I was disappointed at all. This was excellent. I read somewhere that this was meant to be a change-up for Leon, converging into a more pop-oriented R&B sound, and I think he nailed it. Pleasant production, lively in the way pop should sound, yet still brimming with soul and passion. Loved this record. I live by this album now. I will either be vibing to it or crying to it, and I will continue to do so until the day that I die. Well, if there's one thing, you certainly got that title right. Wow, this is boring. Wow, this is also boring. Okay, record executives, stop exploiting deceased rappers for profit. It's scummy and disgusting. Yeah, this is a very nice rock album. It sticks true to its natural sound, yet also introducing some ambition, which I can appreciate. I mean, there's a track on here with Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, and I think it's one of the best songs on here. There are moments, though, where some tracks do feel a little bit toothless. There could be a little bit more punch, a bit more roughness in there, but as a whole, I had a good time with this. So I first heard of Mariah through Trippie Redd's The Love Letter to You 4. I believe she was on the song Abandoned. And I figured I'd check this out, and aside from a very weak and forgettable middle section, I thought this was alright. So yes, I know I said in a previous review recall that I didn't want to do any gospel albums, but for one, this isn't really a gospel album, it's more just a Christian rock album, which I'm almost certain is a different thing altogether. And two, I've actually been aware of this band for quite a while through family and friends, so I figured I'd give this a listen. And yeah, it's just church ambience. That's really all I can call it. Although I will say, Bear's voice is amazing. He sings with so much passion, life, and emotion. It's easily the standout moment of this album, but that's literally it. I mean, I like the songs with Travis Barker. Transparent Soul and especially Gaslight I thought were really good, but everything else just didn't really click with me. It tries to come off so raw and emotional, but behind these uber polished and glitzy instrumentals it comes off so ingenuine. I just cannot take this seriously. I mean, I guess there's potential here, but I probably won't return to this. So I haven't been too familiar with Modest Mouse. I do know some of their older material, however, and I just figured I'd give this new album a listen, and right away, this is definitely much more overproduced and experimental than I was expecting. Plus, a bunch of instrumental oddities rear their heads a few times. Sure, this may have a little bit of jank, but I thought the songs were really fun, especially under a whole 50-minute panoramic experience. GHERBO tends to focus a lot more on the thematics of rap, much more than traditional melody or song structure. There's no singing, pretty much no hooks across this entire album either, just some solid rapping, very commanding, and noticeably scarred in its inflections. The length is probably the only real hindrance to this album. 19 tracks, 57 minutes. It can become a grueling listen without something catchy in the songs to stick to. But this album emanates a sense of victory and survival, and I can admire it for that. So I haven't really listened to Creeper before, but I have heard of them and the critical accolades that just seem to surround them. So out of sheer curiosity, I wanted to give this EP a listen and see what I've been missing. And I think I might have chosen a bad starting point because I read that this was a continuation of the story that was on the 2020 album. However, the music on here was incredible, so that's only really pushing me to dive into their other albums, which if they're anything like this EP, I may have just found a new favorite band. It's probably the best album she's released to date, but she doesn't really do much here to separate herself from her contemporaries like BB Rexa. It doesn't feel like a noteworthy pop album. The songs on here are all still good, but it's not gonna stick out. So this is the first post-XXL project from Blxst, who was featured on the 2021 freshman class. Was curious to give this a listen, and I will say that Blxst is easily the star of the show here. He carries this album, while Bino kinda drags the whole thing down. Would love to hear a full solo Blxst project. I'm sure he has one in his back catalog. But as a first introduction to his music, I like what he has, and I'm excited for more. This is the most accessible King Gizzard album I've heard to date, and I can definitely see why this isn't truly clicking with people, but for me, the synth rock and pop rock style of this album was fun, if a little bit hard to differentiate the songs, but I still enjoyed it. I have been the biggest sucker for Charlotte's silky vocals. Her EPs have always wowed me, so going into this debut album here, I had pretty high expectations, and she certainly did not disappoint. I love her producing work on this album too. It feels unfiltered yet experimental and relaxed at the same time. Just such a fantastic listen. We've been waiting on a full album for a while, but safe to say, the wait was definitely worth it. So we waited 3 years for this? Disappointed. When it comes to posthumous albums like this, I can't say I'm disgusted by corporate greed, but more so just sad that the artist is no longer with us. An improvement on all fronts from her debut. Everything here just feels much more mature, the songwriting is more engaging, the melodies and tunes are all very sharp, and I love the production from Jack Antonoff, tackling folk, country, jazz. It's like a brand new atmosphere and I love it. And speaking of Jack Antonoff, yeah, this was excellent. Really loved this album. Very well produced. A lot of retro pop bangers on here reminding me of 80s Bruce Springsteen, which is fitting since the boss himself is on this album. Probably my favorite Bleachers record to date. So this was my first exposure to ISAIAHRASHAD's music. I've been hearing some pretty good things about this album, and I feel like I would have suffered the wrath of a few YouTube friends if I didn't at least give this a listen. So I did, and I can't say it was perfect. There's a similar vibe to a few tracks here that kind of makes some of them come off as a bit homogenous, but yet there's something so gravitating about this cozy and charming atmosphere this record just exudes. Plus the bangers on here were amazing, so yeah, I liked it quite a bit. Guttural, theatric melodies, unhinged, cathartic lyrics, and an overall pop rock catchiness to these songs. Where has this been? Yeah, it's a Midland EP. It's good. Very smooth new record from John Mayer. Probably one of my favorites of his in recent memory. It definitely won't wow any fans at all, but if you're looking for a consistent 80s tinged rock album, give this a listen. 4 words. Better than I expected. Not much better, but still better. While it's not a sonically adventurous listen, it sure is immersive. The features are fantastic, the lyrics are vulnerable and open, and I often found myself lost in this appropriately labeled cinematic soul. I am a sucker for the Bare Naked Ladies. I'm Canadian after all, and this was just some more great stuff. It was nothing completely mind-blowing or anything, and I wouldn't recommend it to someone starting out, but if you're a fan like myself, this will quench your thirst for sure. Alrighty, and that will do it for this review recall. Probably a little bit of a shorter episode this time, but I tried to limit myself a little bit. Felt like I was going overboard with some of the albums I was listening to in the past few months, so wanted to trim it down. Hope this worked for you. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe to see more videos in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.